right, and welcome to another episode of the Vinny Show. I am your host, Vinny, and tonight's guest is author, actress, producer, most importantly, the mother to Mika. We have tonight Elaine Ballace. Elaine, welcome.
Vinny, hi, and here is Mika. Mika, say hi to everybody.
Mika, if I knew you were going to wear white, I wore something different.
She got the memo, the white memo, so you're good. You're good. She got the white memo, huh?
How dare we after Labor Day?
I know. Well, she's got a little tan spot right there, and yours looks like it's a little off-white. So,
Well, that's because I do the laundry.
Oh, that's because you do the laundry. But it's funny because white, after like one or two washings, it kind of goes yellow anyway. Then you have to bleach it, but you can't put anything else in the washing machine because it'll get bleached. The next thing you know, the bleach did no good because some red garment or something that snuck in the washing machine got bleached.
Yeah, I'm ready to just give it up. I'm ready to just give it to the people down the street, let them take care of it. There's something to be said about having other people do your laundry. But enough about that. Let's get into you because this is all about you, Elaine. And I want to mention to our guest or our listeners, excuse me, that you are also not just all of those beautiful, wonderful things I just mentioned, but also you're currently also on the Michael Collier Morning Show. Tell us about that.
That is so much fun. I must tell you how it all began was Michael and I were on the show The Rich and the Ruthless, and it aired on Urban Movie Channel, which is now called All Black. Now it's also on BET Plus, so you can see all 4 seasons on BET Plus. And so anyway, the first day on the show, at the table read, he and I just hit it off. He's so funny. He's a very famous comic. I didn't even realize how famous he was. I never realized how famous anybody is, nor do I treat them any differently. So anyway, he and I got along great, and we had so much fun and everything, and we've stayed in contact. It was really a show that everybody got along. I mean, we were really family. The first season, it was, oh, I didn't know you were working today. Oh, I'm not. I just came to hang out. So that was kind of how it went. Well, anyway, to make a long story longer, Michael started doing his own show, the Michael Collier Morning Show. And it is so funny. I mean, he prays and he's funny and he has comics and musical guests, poets, everything. So, with the actors' strike, SAG said, oh, you can't really go on talking about this, that, or the other thing. Well, most of the stuff that I have to talk about now doesn't matter because it's not through a regular studio being released. So that's good. So anyway, he goes, Elaine, do you want to come on and talk about your book? How to write Camp Elaine style. So I said, absolutely. So I come on, and when we were talking, he said, oh, I'm going to have a guy doing sports. And I go, I can do the sports. I can do it. I did it. I used to do sports. It's my passion. Actually, football is my passion. So nice. This is the season. 'Tis the season. So he said, all right, what I'll have you do is I'll have you on with the guy. If it works out, great. If not, you did it once, right? I go, it'll work out. Trust me. I know. So it got to be really hysterical because it got to be like the white lady knows, because the people, I say, oh, I'm the white sheep in the family, because Michael's black and the co-hosts are black and the sports guy is black. Well, then he put in Olden Polonese. Do you know who he is? He was a basketball player, a center. He played for like 5 different teams. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, he comes on. Well, then he and I were going at it, and then the dynamic of three, like two against one or whatever. So it's been very, very funny. And now, I mean, Olden just loves coming on the show, I mean, he's on all the time. And the first day, he goes, so and so is going to win by 2 touchdowns. So Michael calls me up and he goes, Elaine, he was right. See? I go, yeah, but he picked the wrong team. He goes, I said, I just looked at the tape. I was just like looking over the tape. So sure enough, it was the wrong team. He calls him up. He can't believe that he picked the wrong team. Okay. So anyway, it was actually not only the wrong team, but the wrong game because there were 2 Monday night games at that point. So anyway, next time we're on, he picks another. Oh no, it wasn't the next time, but another time on the show, we all picked the Niners. Who would have thought that the Vikings would have beaten the Niners? And who would have thought that the Niners are now on a slide? I mean, give me a break. So anyway, sure enough, same thing happens. So Michael goes, well, he's over too. So then he goes, this last Monday, he says, okay, who's playing? So I said the Raiders and the Lions. And at the beginning of the season, I was kind of watching. I've always liked the Lions, but they kind of like poop out somewhere along the line. But they're doing really well this year. So the teams that I picked at the very beginning that I said are teams to watch were the Ravens, who are doing incredibly well, the Lions, who are doing incredibly well, and the one team I started noticing a few weeks ago was Jacksonville. And I said, they're starting to do well. And everyone just like poo-pooed me. It's like, forget it, it's going to be the Chiefs, the Niners, or Philadelphia, the Eagles.
Eagles. I was going to say, what about the Eagles?
The Eagles are incredible. And, but there's something about the Eagles that, I don't know, they just kind of quietly win. Dallas, you never know what's going to happen with them. And Olden says, oh, if there's a way they can shoot themselves in the foot, they will, So I think, though, with Dallas, it's more towards the end, like at the playoffs or somewhere. They'll always figure out a way to lose, And so anyway, I'm still holding out hope that the 49ers come back into it because I've been a 49er fan forever. And the other one, of course, is the Chiefs. But I guess they were just heartbroken that Taylor Swift is going out on tour. So she, can't be at the games now.
Can I just interrupt you to say one thing? Me personally, I could be 1,000,000% wrong. I think it's all farce. I think it's a PR stunt that she's dating that. She's probably not even really in a relationship with him. I think this is all PR.
Do you know what? I was the one. Everyone said, "Oh no, I think they're really in." I go, I don't think they've ever met.
Nah,
but
I'm not buying it.
What was really smart? She's a brilliant businesswoman. And what she did was her Eras tour was being released. Do you know that the NFL, without any charge to them, advertised her movie for free?
Wow.
So, I mean, do you know how much that's worth? I'm not sure they ever met. You never see pictures of them together. And then finally you did see one, but that was it. I mean, yeah, she was in the box, and she's now besties with Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, and, and Kelsey's mom and everything. But Kelsey's mom's got it great because when Philadelphia played the Chiefs, she had, that outfit. So either way, she's got outfits for the Chiefs or Philly. So she's covered, but I prefer the Chiefs to Philly. I like the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is like one of the best quarterbacks.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out to a big, believe it or not, there's a big major Chiefs bar in South Philly that I used to hang out in. Great gang of guys. So a big shout out to Paulie over at Big Charlie's. It's called Big Charlie Saloon. It's over at 11th and McKean in South Philly. And you go in there, it's decked from ceiling to floor, all Chiefs. They were on ESPN. They were on national TV. So it's a big deal. There's actually they're Philly guys, but they're the huge Kansas City Chief fans.
Now, how did they become Kansas City Chief fans if they're in Philly?
I don't know. I think I don't remember. It's been so long that I spoke with the owner, Paulie. I don't recall why. It's a good question. They could probably answer it. Maybe we'll have to have a follow up on that. But I don't know. It may start when he was a child. I'm not sure. But it's interesting. But it's a Chiefs, and they're all Philly guys. None of them are from Kansas City.
That is so funny. Now, how far is Pittsburgh from there?
Well, we're probably about, I want to say, by car, maybe 6 hours, something
Oh,
like
that's far.
maybe, yeah, 4 to 6 hours. Obviously it's west of us, so 4 to 6 hours, I would say. I've never been there. I've heard so many great things about Pittsburgh. I have some family there. I've just never been there.
Oh, that's funny. Have you ever been west? Have you been to California?
Elaine, you bring up a topic that's bittersweet. Yes, I lived there for about I don't know, 7 or 8 months back in 2008, and I lived in Thousand Oaks, and I
Oh,
used to drive. I used to drive to Beverly Hills. I had a job in Beverly Hills as a waiter at Il Fornaio, and it was one of the highlights of my life. Unfortunately, I had a decision to make, and I came back to Philly. But it was a great time. Met a lot of great people, a lot of stars. But yeah, I was a resident. I still have my license somewhere. I was a resident of California for a little while.
oh, but Thousand Oaks, my goodness, you had to drive the 405 to Beverly
405
Hills
and the 101.
and the 101, two of the worst freeways.
Yeah.
Although I'm not certain any freeway is really good here anymore, but they used to say that about the five, and then it was the 101, now it's the 405. And there was a very famous actor who said, well, the reason they call it the 405 because it takes 4 or 5 hours to get anywhere when you're on the freeway. I swear there are times I think I could park my car and walk faster.
I remember the first. I don't know if I mentioned this in another broadcast or not, but I remember the first day I was there. I was so excited. First day or two, I forget. I was so excited, and my friend Leo, who excuse me, who I was staying with, he's like, listen, he's like, he moved. He was from Philly originally too. We grew up together, and he got married and they moved out west. And I stayed with him, and so he told me, he says, you got to wear sunglasses. And I hate I never liked sunglasses. I don't know what it is. I always hated sunglasses. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I decided to walk from like Studio City to Tarzana or so. I walked so far. I was just, I was like a real tourist, And the next day I wake up and my eyes are burning. They're like bloodshot. So I should have wore sunglasses.
Studio City's really nice. I lived there for years, and it used to be like really quaint and cute, when I first moved in and everything. And a lot of stars lived in Studio City. You would see them around, and they had really cool little, kind of like places that were historical places, and it's all different now. I still go there a lot, and I still kept my P.O. box there. And there are things that are just still beautiful about Studio City, like the trees and, that. But it's just not, I don't know that any place is the same anymore. It's
No,
all
it's not.
become so overbuilt that no community is a community. At least I don't see it.
It's it's a lot of displacement. It's a lot of you kind of lose the culture of the neighborhoods, whether it's Philly or Los Angeles, wherever you're at. It's true everywhere. Everywhere in this country is not the same as it used to be. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's kind of it brings a lot of nostalgia, into your mind. But Yeah, I guess as you get older too, you kind of see things a little bit differently too, and sort of that brilliant, shiny, beautiful thing becomes kind of dull. But can you, while we're on the subject, can you give us any cool stories about stars maybe you might have interacted with or came across any cool Hollywood stories?
Oh, well, I'll tell you, kind of getting back to my book, because I'm very dear friends with Mel Brooks. And I had told him all along about my book, but no one ever gets the aha syndrome until they get the book. So he sent me his book, Mel Brooks, All About Me, and he autographed it to me. So I sent him my book, How to Write a Book Campy Lane Style with Oreo. This was my other dog, and he loved Oreo. And there's another picture of Oreo. And so, anyway, I joke and tell people, I go, listen, here's the difference. Mel's book's about 550 pages. Mine's about 50. You can see the difference in our careers. But I was very fortunate, and I was friends with him. He knew me because I started off really as a professional ice skater at age 8, when there was a big difference between amateur and pro. If you made any money, you couldn't, compete or anything like that. And my dad preferred that, in that at the time I still had an older sister living at home. And so he just felt that the family should be intact. So if there were things like commercials or local shows or anything like that, that was fine. And then he said, when I'm 18, I can do whatever I want. But by 18, you're different. And by 18, it was time to go to college. And of course, where did I go? Fight on for see, because they had the best football locally here. And so, I mean, you can get an education anywhere. I went to a private school, I went to Hollywood Professional School. So I went to school with a lot of stars, and we had the Cow Seals there. We had some of the Beach Boys there. We had Brenda Lee. We had, and they'd all come, in and out. And it didn't really matter because it was K through 12. So everybody would see everybody. We had a lot of the Mouseketeers. And so it's, I kind of grew up with stars all around me, so it was no big deal. It was like, oh, okay, there's just so and so, it didn't really matter. So I think, in a way, going to school with a lot of them get you really grounded, so you're not in awe. I think the only time I was in awe was when I met Joe Montana. And then I couldn't form words. It was like, and he said, I kind of tapped him on the shoulder because he was at the SAG after credit union. So you're so used to running into people there that really are stars, and you go, oh, I love your work. And so I said, oh, I love your work. And he kind of looks at me and he goes, I go, no, 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 I know who you are. And he looks and I go, one of my best friends plays on your team. And he goes, who's that? And I go, Wendell Tyler. And he goes, and when was the last time you saw Wendell? I go, last week when we watched you on the Pro Bowl. And it was like, oh, this one's nuts. So by the time I got home and called Wendell, I think Joe had already gotten to him. So he answered the phone laughing hysterically because he knew what a fan I was. And so that was pretty funny. I think he's the only star I ever met that I was kind of in awe. I mean, I did cover sports, so I met like John Elway and different people like that, Shannon Sharp. But John Elway was really super and really nice. And when I was covering some games, and I knew we were down in San Diego when the Chargers were in San Diego. And I think it was Sean Salisbury. Well, he went to SC, and I knew Sean from SC. And so anyway, it was so funny. And then their kicker was from Notre Dame, and it was one of the times SC actually had beaten Notre Dame. And so it was so much fun. He goes, hey, give her an interview. She's a fellow Trojan. He goes, forget it, So even the pros really take their college schools to heart and really know what's going on. And so that was fun. But John was so nice, and he goes, do you want an interview, Elaine? And I mean, it's like, sure, we'll do the interview. But we were talking, and the one thing I learned was most of the guys, if you're in the dressing room or whatever with them, the last thing they do, they dress from the top down. And so once they zip up their pants, they're out the door. So if you want an interview, you better figure it out, and you can't do any of the, it was like, look, it's eye candy. Look, I want the interview, answer the questions. And they realized that I was, really interested in them, because most of my interviews were more, they were more personal and what they were about and what they wanted. And also coming from a sports background, having been a professional skater, I kind of was curious what other sports were like, or other athletes. How did they train? What did they eat? What did they do? And skating was, a singular sport for me. I mean, there are pairs and stuff, but this was definitely a team sport. And I was just curious, what do they do differently? How do they stay motivated? How do they feel on their own? I mean, of course, like in football, there are the prime, positions, but it takes a whole team. You could have a great quarterback, but if you have no defense or no blockers, it's not going to matter how great you are if you're not protected to throw the ball. And then you've got to get receivers who can catch. That's what they're paid to do. Catch the ball, So I was like coming from a fan base, for them and their sport. And they really appreciated it, because it wasn't like, oh, what were you thinking? It's like, you're not thinking, it's automatic reaction, instinct, whatever. And I got that. But the things I was really interested in is, especially towards the end of the season, they're going to the playoffs. If they already know they're going, because they've got, like, they're 3 games up on the next person in their division. So they know that they're going to go. And how do you play, which is the hardest thing in the world, how do you play to not get injured, but you still have to play? So in other words, if you try to play it safe, chances are you are going to get injured. You're not thinking, you're not really watching yourself and taking care of yourself. And they kind of looked at me like, no one's ever asked us that. I mean, how do they stay motivated? I mean, the team and everything, but as a person, it takes all of them, even though each person has an individual contribution, but it takes the whole team. I mean, I look at SC now and just cry because there's no defense. And I think the same thing happened to the 49ers. It's like, where's the defense? I think they're all out partying or something, So it doesn't even matter how good. I mean, Caleb Williams is a great quarterback, and there was talk he might have won 2 Heismans, in a row. And of course, it's not going to happen now, but it wasn't his fault entirely. I mean, he put up the points, but no defense.
Yeah.
So that's I love football because it reminds me of life. There's so many components that make up life, and there's so many things that can happen. I mean, sometimes you pass, sometimes you kick, sometimes you punt, sometimes you're intercepted, sometimes you fumble, I mean, that's just life. And so I just look at it, and I try not to get too upset, but it doesn't happen. I take it seriously. I mean, there's there's life and there's football.
Right. Well, and just like life, there's so many different variables that can happen every day. Let me take you back though to Mel Brooks, because I always liked Mel Brooks. I mean, he's larger
the greatest guy in the world. I have to
tell us about how you met him. Tell us about him. How's the real Mel Brooks?
The funniest thing was, I think actually, he didn't realize who I was until I started talking about the skating. But I was on an audition over at 20th Century Fox Studios, which was then, just Fox Studios. And I couldn't, they had the weirdest numbering system. And I couldn't find the room that I was looking for. And I was looking and looking and looking. And finally, I just said, I don't care. The next office, if anyone's in it, I'm going in to find out where I am, where I'm supposed to be. And it turned out it was Mel's office. And it was like, is this the real Mel Brooks? Because I had just seen Blazing Saddles like 6 times or something, so knew every line in it. And so his assistant said, yes. I go, well, where's Mel? And she goes, well, I think he's at lunch. I said, will he be back soon? And so she says, I think, well, maybe in an hour or so. And I said, okay, great. So I said, well, can you tell me where this, and she directed me. Well, I could have cared less about the interview. I was more interested in going back and meeting Mel than going on this interview. I don't even remember what the interview was for. And so anyway, it turns out that I had another interview right after it. It was the one time in my life I had 3 interviews that day. But anyway, I was not going to leave without meeting him. And so I'm walking down the hall and I just said, well, I'll just walk down the hall and give it a try. So I was walking down the hall and there he was with his back to me and just part of his head and, the back part of him. And I just knew it was Mel. I could just feel it. And it was really funny because I didn't even know who Alan Ladd Jr. was at the time. He was the president and head of Fox Studios. So, and Mel was in the process of doing or finishing up Young Frankenstein. So anyway, I run in and I'm looking at him and staring to make sure that, Cousin Saddles' eyes were crossed and everything. And I'm just staring. And I I guess I introduced myself or something and I go, you are this is my favorite movie. And I start reciting all the lines from Blazing Saddles. I don't know why I had to recite all the lines from Blazing Saddles. The movie was already made, you know.
You
And
want
it
to
was
show you were a
a
true
fun
fan.
movie that year. So, he looks at me and he goes, well, how do you know them? And how did you get in the movie? You're too young. I go, listen, I've already seen it 6 times. And he went, oh, forget it. He goes, do you know Laddie? And I go, no, nice to meet you. Could have cared less about Laddie. No wonder, my career. I could have been a contender. And so anyway, so I was talking to him and he just probably thought this girl's out of her mind. So he goes, so what else do you do? And I go, oh, I'm a skater. And these were back in the days when you had like portfolios that you used to bring on your interviews. So he's looking at him and he goes, oh, you're a skater. And I go, yeah, I skated here, there, and everywhere. And somehow we were talking because I did do when I was like 8 or 10, I don't remember which. I did a show at the Beverly Hilton because they used to have an ice skating tank, what they called a tank, a small surface. And I did a show there, and I think it was for the Friars Club. And I think Mel was at that because he kind of remembered, and he goes, I can't believe you're really a skater. And I go, why would I lie about it? And he goes, honey, let me just tell you something. In this business, everybody lies about everything. So then he and I just became really good friends, and he was just like my mentor and my favorite person in the whole world. And he used to say to me, I go, Mel, you're my favorite person in the whole world. And he'd go, I don't know, Elaine. Could I be like your second favorite? He goes, favorite's like a lot of pressure. But he carried the pressure well. He did well. So
I mean,
anyway, pardon?
I said he's a genius. I mean, let's face it, he's a great a great part of what Hollywood was great for. That period of time in Hollywood. I mean, he was the king.
Well, not only that, but he's so bright at everything. I mean, for the longest time, Mel was my doctor. Anytime anything was wrong, Mel, what's wrong? What should I do? Unless it was something really horrific. And then he'd say, go see a doctor. But I mean, most of the stuff was minor stuff, or he knew everything. I mean, he just is so bright. And to this day, I mean, he's 97 years old and I mean, with COVID and the strikes and everything, he kind of backed off and everything, but he's still wonderful and brilliant. And it was funny. I went to a kind of political event, but it was at the racetrack in Santa Anita. And it's so funny because Mel and Ann used to go all the time, his late wife, Ann Bancroft. And so it turns out that some of the people from the track knew them. And so as most people look at the track and they're looking at all the material. So they took us to see the horses. There was this horse. It was the most majestic horse I've ever seen in my life. And I went, oh my gosh, he's beautiful. And the the breeder said, you don't say he's beautiful. I go, but he is. I go, I want him to win. And he was kind of like, a lot of people were talking about that he was going to win, but he wasn't the favorite. I think he was like the second favorite or something like that. But I knew he would win. And I said, come on, are you going to win for me? And he kind of winked. And you could tell he was kind of a bad boy. What woman doesn't love a bad boy? And so sure enough, he won. And there I was front and center in the winner's circle. So they gave me a copy of the picture. I wish I had it here. I'm kind of looking for it. And so sure enough, I sent it to him and I called and I said, make sure you check your email. So they don't go in too often because they're still striking. The actors are. So they don't want to cross a picket line. So I think they have to wait till there's either no pickets there or late in the day when they're all gone. So anyway, but I can't say enough good things about Mel. I did 4 movies with him. And by the time he got to Spaceballs, which was my first movie with him, he was talking about it. I go, that's it, Mel. You have 2 choices. I either show up every day on the set or you hire me. I'm just going to come and eat your food. Well, it's cheaper to hire you, I think, because then we know you'll be there a certain day and it'll end a certain day, and that's it. So that was my first one. And he said to me, he goes, now, Elaine, when you're on the set, you don't talk about skating at all. You're an actress. So I said, okay, Mel, no problem. By the time I, was in makeup, everybody knew that I was a skater. Everybody knew everything. And so it was so funny because I said, Mel, I thought I wasn't supposed to talk about skating. He goes, you can't. This is my set. I can talk about anything I want. Yes, she's really a great skater. So it was fun. And then after that, I did Life Stinks. And then I did Robin Hood Men in Tights, and then Dracula Dead and Loving It. And it was so much fun. Robin Hood Men in Tights was probably one of the most fun sets ever because I was in the wedding scene. So they had all the animals, it was outdoors. And Mel was one of the first people ever to let you bring a camera. I mean, this was before, phones and stuff. He let you bring a camera on the set. And so I had wonderful pictures with everybody. It was like, not that I ever went to summer camp, but it was like being at summer camp. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. And I mean, everyone was so nice. Everyone was in love with Richard Rees, the late Richard Rees, and he was just terrific. And Carrie Elways, Amy Osbeck, they were great. And so it was Dick Van Patten, he was on it, and I think he did 2 of Mel's movies. And it was and I had worked with Dick Van Patten actually in Eight Is Enough. I guessed it is on that show, I think twice. And so it's just Hollywood was so different, and I'm so glad I kind of grew up at a time when it was so different, and you respected the elders. I mean, like, I mean, I think everybody would respect Mel anyway, but I mean, it was like an awe of a genius. It wasn't like, oh, he's Mel Brooks, this, great, whatever. He was just such a genius in life that that's what I'll always remember and cherish and treasure, that he was such a genius. And I mean, and the dynamics of Gene Wilder, and I didn't meet Madeline ever, but just knowing Gene, I mean, and how talented he was. And I just feel really blessed that I got to work with, and well, I didn't really work with Gene, but I mean, I got to know him, and but working with Mel and working with a lot of others. And when I was working with some people and I complained, I go, oh, this director is not very good or something. And someone said, well, you're spoiled. You worked with Mel. It doesn't get any better than that.
Right.
And it was kind of true, I mean, so anytime I work with someone, there's a high standard that he or she has to reach.
Right. Got spoiled. Now you mentioned one of the films. Now bring me up to speed with Dracula's Bride of Horror. Tell me about that.
That one they can see now. It's airing on Cube Stream. So apparently we did it in 2019, and then COVID and everything. So it was released I think in 20 no wait. It was released in 2020. I think maybe we did it then. And then no, 21, and it was released in 21. And it did so well that they re-released it this year. It was actually released last year. And they re-released it this year because it did so well, and Halloween. And I said to everyone, I only do Dracula movies. Dracula Dead and Loving It, Dracula Bride of Horror. And that director is really fun too. And he's a big sports fan. And so we've kind of bonded more on sports than than anything. And so but he moved out of the country, but he's coming back, and he's got a couple movies he's going to be doing. And one is going to be a squatters movie, which is just so great because I get to play a Karen character, And so I did Karen characters for different people's videos. And it's so funny. I've signed NDAs, so I can't mention the people or the video really, but I'm sure they've seen it. Everyone's seen them. And so they go, do you know that somebody did this? And I said, yes, I'm aware, but I signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it. So then they could understand that, it really was shot. But those have been really fun. But Dracula's Bride of Horror was my other dog, Oreo. He was in the film too, and it was his last movie because he passed 2 weeks later.
Oh.
And so that was really sad. So now Mika has a lot to carry, because she's got to do features, and she's on all my podcasts and everything with everybody. And as many scenes as I can get her in when I'm working, she does. As a matter of fact, we have another movie that should be coming out soon, but I'm not sure. They've kind of changed the name of it a little bit. So we'll see what happens with that. And the other movie that she came on location with me, and she was like the backup just in case the writer, producer, director, their dog didn't work out. Mika was right there, but she still kind of worked her way into some of the scenes, that she could. But that one is called A Wonderful Life, and it covers the span of Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And so he's releasing it around Thanksgiving, but I don't know which platforms they're going to be released on. But it's called A Wonderful Life. So stay tuned, folks. It's going to be great. It's a
Well,
wonderful movie.
well, while we're on it, why don't we tell the viewers? Why don't we tell the viewers where they can find you and everything that's coming up about you, and where can they get more of you?
Well, just yeah, go to my website. That's number one, which is Elaine Ballace, which my name right there, .com. And while you're there, make sure you get a copy of the book. And I personally autograph each copy. And so that's one of the reasons I didn't want it to go on Amazon or anything like that, because it's very, very personal. And I want people with the pandemic, with all the civil unrest, with all of that, I play your guided cheerleader on how to write a book, Campy Lean style, with Oreo. But the basic thing, without giving it totally away, even if I do give it away, people don't seem to get it, until they see it. But and there is a special that Rodney Allen Rippey, I used him kind of too to play off, and so there's a dedication to him. I go, well, how do you like this, or how do you like that? Oh, here it is. Can they see that?
Okay.
There's Rodney Allen Rippey and Oreo and myself. And basically what this does is you're a guided I'm a guided cheerleader to get you to write your story. So you're going to be leaving your legacy, and it has to be in your handwriting. You can't type, well, you could, I guess, but you really can't type it and then cut it down to the book to paste the pages. It's in your handwriting. It's your legacy, the story that you want people to know about you. So it could be handed down to different generations. When you pass, it'll be handed down to different generations, like maybe a great great grandchild. This was what your great great grandfather was like. And it's your legacy. And a lot of people who are alone, seniors or whomever, who just don't have anybody, if someone finds the book and starts reading, they read and start learning about who this person was, because a lot of people don't have family, and they are alone. And so this is a way for people to know about that person.
It's a beautiful keepsake. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's your legacy. And you know what? If you don't like your life, write a life story that you wanted, or just so that people will know how you should be remembered. Right. Because many people probably weren't around anyway, during the life, or even if they were, how many times did you say, did that really happen? So I'm really proud of this book, and I really hope people will get it. It's personally autographed, and it's also if it's shipped in the continental US, the shipping is free, and you won't regret it. Once you see it, you'll love it. And when Mel got his copy, he called me up immediately to say thank you and said, Elaine, you're crazy. And I go, but Mel, I told you about it the whole time I was doing it. And he goes, it is so good. He goes, it's so clever, that it's really a good keepsake, and it's a very clever idea. And you're just a guided cheerleader to say, hey, you can do it. And the most important thing, and that I will show at the very beginning of the book, is right here. It says, congratulations, you showed up. Now take out a pen or pencil or even a crayon and start writing. So, I mean, basically in life, the most important thing is showing up. That's like 90% of it, being present and showing up, and then doing the work. So that's the only other 10%. And it's your story. write it any way you want. I'm just there to guide and cheer you on. But I really am so proud of it, and I really hope people will go to the website elaineballace.com. There are different videos of mine that are on there. There are different podcasts that are on there. And the book is on there. So, if something really is coming up, that'll be great. And I just I love doing films. I love doing television. I'm so happy to be working with Michael Collier again. And they can watch that. He's getting married this Saturday. So he's they're off for a few days and then they'll be off all the following week, but then we'll be back. And so once we're back, we'll be fighting over football. It's basically what we talk about, football and fighting over the teams and the ones that we want to win and not win. And like, I think one person on the show is a big Dallas fan. One's a big Raider fan. I'm a big 49er and Chief fan, and someone else is a 49er fan. But, it's so much fun. But I told them at the very onset, I go, watch out for the Ravens, the Lions, and now Jacksonville, because they're really looking good. And Philly. Well, everyone knew Philly.
Well, of course. Well, listen, Elaine, I mean, what I'm going to do is, of course, like I usually do, I'm going to make sure that I put the information in the description. So those of you that are watching, make sure you look at the description. You'll have Elaine's website, the link there and all the information.
Right. And I am on LinkedIn. I never really go to it too much. I'm on X. I'm on the best is probably Facebook or Instagram. Yeah. But I am on X because I still try to figure out some of the crazy things that Elon Musk is saying and doing, and so they can find me. I mean, it's really easy, but the best, really, I would love for them because they can see so many of the different, shows that I've done and the different videos that I've done. They could go to my IMDb page, Elaine Ballace, which is great. Go to it, keep hitting it, and see like what's in the future, because a lot of, if the production company puts it up, then, it's there. Oftentimes we're not allowed to talk about it, but if the production company puts it up, then they'll know.
Right. That's public knowledge. Well, listen, Elaine, it's been such a wonderful, wonderful experience talking to you. Unfortunately, I think we're out of time, but I want to recommend everybody go get that book. That would make a great, great present for Christmas and for the holiday season in general, or just for a birthday or for whatever reason. But this is right on time.
Right on time. And you've been wonderful. I've been so excited to be on the Vinny Manini.
It's Manetti, and it took me a long time to say my own name right.
You know what? But Vinny Manini rhymes. But I know Vinny Manetti.
If I have nothing else, I have that. Okay.
Vinny Manetti.
Vinny Manetti from South Philly.
Oh my goodness, Vinny Manetti from South Philly. But you don't sound like you're from Philly. I don't know why.
You don't
really have an accent.
I scrubbed the accent a little bit. I scrubbed it. I tweaked it. Because people look at you funny.
That was the California. Because we don't have accents.
Wow, look, Elaine, I'm very worldly, so,
There you go. Cosmopolitan. We'll call you Cosmopolitan Vinny. How's that?
Okay. I love it. I'll have to look you up the next time I'm in LA. I got a feeling I might not be that far away. We're actually, just to throw it in real quick, my friend and I, Sal Mazzata, he's already an accomplished local producer and filmmaker and actor. We're going to be doing a short film in Philly that we're going to do in the spring of 2024, and then we're going to pitch it to festivals. But we're really going to try to make it either in a series or into a feature. So I have a feeling LA is going to be seeing me sometime in 2024.
Oh, good. And they'll be seeing Elaine and Mika in the series.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Count on it.
You can get us both. You can get us two for the price of one. But she eats a lot more than I do. I'm just warning you.
She takes down the craft services.
Crafty better be good. They better watch out. Do you know that, honestly, before we go, that's the most important thing. That's the first thing that everybody asks. Where's Crafty? Ooh, so you're judged on craft services before you start.
I have to agree with that, because if you can't pay your talent, at least you better feed them well.
Exactly. And nowadays, it's like, just feed them.
Just feed them. Well, again, Elaine, it's been an absolute, Elaine and Mika, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really, really enjoyed this interview. What an adorable Mika. I love that Mika. Wouldn't you make me want to get one?
There you go.
But
she's a sweetheart.
We're going to have to get you back on again another time. But in the meantime, again, friends, I encourage you and I highly recommend that you go get that book. All right. Elaine has a wonderful book. Purchase it, support her. And also, it's a great gift. So do it and check her out. Follow her and keep an eye on what she's doing. Follow her social media. And until next time, I guess just make sure you subscribe to my channel. Elaine, any final thoughts?
Yes. Just be aware that A Wonderful Life will be coming out around Thanksgiving. So kind of keep your ears perked and check my Facebook page. So if you try friending me and I don't friend you back right away, it's because I'm at 5,000. It's always closed, but every day it changes. Somebody can drop off, or it was a bot or something. But I usually friend everybody, and so definitely look for that, because it's a wonderful movie. It's filled with laughter and joy and life lessons. The director is really good. His name is Jeff London, and he also wrote the story. So he's a terrific director. And on Mondays, I'm on the Michael Collier morning show, and everybody can, see that. It's on live at 7 a.m. Pacific. So just work backwards. The East Coast is 10.
Now, Elaine, where could they? Now, if I'm in Philly, how do I listen to it? Can I go online?
Oh, just go to either Facebook Live or YouTube.
Okay.
It's on both. And if you missed it in the morning, you can always go to YouTube and just look at, the show. So the last one I did was 7-Eleven, but they put up 7-10. So if you look on 7-10 or 7-Eleven, if they ever fix it, that was the last show I did, which was Monday.
Okay. Oh, so, and I would be remiss without thanking John Terlizzi for making this connection happen.
John is the best agent in the world. He is such a great agent and such a great person. I'm really trying to get somebody who does a podcast to give him an award, because he puts so many people together. He should get the award for the great connector.
He is a very good, and there's something to be said about that. There's not many people that are willing to do that. And it's very nice of him. So, John, again, thank you again, as always.
Thank you, John. He's the best agent in the world.
I tell him that
all the time.
Absolutely. And maybe we'll get him on the show one of these days. But listen, for now, I just want to end this by saying again, Elaine, thank you. I want to send you a big kiss from Philly. And hopefully your career keeps going. We're, shooting for the moon. And, you have a great personality. You have obviously a great history of your profession, and you want to help people. And I think it's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing your story and all these beautiful memories with us. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to people. And you know what? They can even write me through the website. So, they can stay in touch.
Beautiful. There you go. Please, I encourage everyone to do that. Again, your guest tonight has been Elaine Ballace. Check her out. Follow her. And until next time, thank you very much. And we'll see you next show.
Bye-bye.